fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Ford Trucks, built Ford tough. Lucky Strike, producers of quality fishing tackle and landing nets since 1929. Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons, volunteers teaching safe boating.
Let's go fishing whenever you're in the mood. Let's go fishing. Baby, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. You wanna grab your hat, man, and get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
You know, this is awesome, Scott. Non-stop action, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't think so. We've been casting for, what, week and a half now? No, sorry, it's only been like all day, and we've seen a few muskies follow. And this guy had the nerve to hit my lure when it was out of the water. I was actually lifting my lure to pull it out, and he came up with his mouth. Maybe we should be throwing surface lures. You know, musky fishing at the best of times is totally unpredictable. So you never know what's going to happen. And this is a good sized fish. I just can't get over that, Scott, that he stuck his head out. His yap was 6 inches out of the water when he took that bait.
He's got it good.
It's a nice fish. Look at it, big and wide. Now you got to admit, this is a decent muskie to get. Look at this. And you know what? Those hooks have all repositioned. He had the front hook in his mouth. Now they're kind of on the side. I'm going to try to get him in so you can guide him into the net. We don't want to fight this guy out too long, because with muskies, it's really important to get them in quick. Now try to go the opposite side of that bait if you can. Or you know what? Just do whatever you can to get him in that cradle. How did he do that, Scott? It's like he knew you were on his back.
I wasn't even touching him yet.
Now he's all rolled up in that line, way past the leader.
Okay.
So this is going to be interesting. And you know what? You done it. Scott, you the man.
There we are.
Now, I got a question to ask you. How did you go from being a golf professional at Niagara-on-the-Lake? See, this is where we let the adrenaline kind of go down. Being a golf professional from the Niagara-on-the-Lake to coming up and being a co-owner in the Waltonian.
Well, my partners and I, we went up and fell in love with it, and the fishing is fantastic. So this is more exciting than any birdie we've ever got.
In the early years, were you getting muskies like this, or just walleye and bass and stuff?
Well, generally everybody that came up there just fished for walleye and bass. Right. But my partner and I have been fishing for muskie for a while, so we
I can see
we've had some pretty good luck.
How you got hooked. Now, this is what we use. I got a few tools here, but I know he's not hooked too bad. I have a Normark glove, which I'm going to leave with you. I don't know if you ever used one of these.
No.
Now, because it's a heavy-duty mesh, the slime actually goes in between the mesh. So this is what I use around the tail, the caudal peduncle.
Mm-hmm.
The caudal peduncle is that part of the tail that joins the body to the actual tail. So while we keep him in the cradle, now you can see this is the best way to handle a muskie. First of all, we're taking our time. We want the fish to revive. He has not come out of the water. You know, a lot of guys use big nets and heave the fish inside because they're so excited. Yeah, so he can get his energy back. I don't mind. He can even get the hook caught in the cradle. So we're keeping this fish horizontal. And this cradle, by the way, I think is less than $50. You can get them at like Walmart or other stores across Canada. And they're ideal if you fish for big fish like muskie. Now we're going to take our time here. And this fish is also rolled up in the line. So what I'm going to do here is just try to get him out. Now there's a nice muskie. I don't know how heavy he is. He's got to be in the 20s. Thick fish, and he's ready to go. And he's gone. That fish was unhurt, healthy. You know,
beautiful fish.
You did such a nice job with that cradle. The first thing I was concerned about was if you went head first, that he goes at the bottom end and he gets that hook stuck, and then you got a problem, you know, and it can twist and the fish can get off. But you did that perfectly. You went to get him tail first, and he did take off, and no problem. Then you took your time and got him in there again. So this time of the year, what we're doing, you can see we're not that far out from shore. Depends really on the shoreline. In this particular case, we're in about 15 to 17 feet of water as we speak. So from here to shore, it comes up really quick. And we've seen a few fish today. That's the first one that we've hooked. And it was pretty exciting and a good test for all of our gear. Now, I don't mind getting the hooks caught up like this in the mesh because the fish was unharmed. I didn't even see any blood on that muskie, which was great. I mean, he rolled so much in the line that at first he had this front hook in his mouth, and by the time we were done, the lure was like this on the side of its face. And that happens when it starts to twist and it gets the line wrapped around its body. Now, a lot of people think it's macho to use light line when you're musky fishing, and I'm totally against that, and a lot of good musky fishermen are too. Because when you hook a muskie, you want to hold on to it and get it in relatively quickly. The longer you fight the fish, the greater the chance is that it's not going to be released properly. When's the best time to get them on Nipissing if people are planning to come up?
The beginning of September through the end of October or the middle of October is prime.
Good. And similar type of fishing, right? You're fishing structure,
yeah.
drop-offs, rock piles.
Yeah, weed beds.
Places. Well, do you think there's one more?
I think we can get another one.
That was quick, didn't take long.
No,
just
that was
about
good.
A couple thousand casts. So it is true what they say, you know.
Yeah, we're ahead of the game.
Fish of 100,000 casts. John.
Nice fish, Italo,
nice
finally.
hook set.
Hard casting.
So,
Stay out in the
John,
water. We'll get away from that motor, you.
why do you think they're hitting right at the boat? You think that they're following it from the shore, or you think they're in deeper water and they're just spotting it last minute?
Italo, we've been pulling the couple that we've had for follow-up and been pretty well from 50 yards to shore and in, so either I don't know if we're in deep pockets here or...
Yeah, I think this is the pattern though, to cast on these shorelines that don't necessarily have vegetation. You're doing great. Now I've got John with me. John is also a co-owner of the Waltonian Inn, and it's nice because both John and Scott love to musky fish. And they asked me, you know, when was the last time you did a musky show? And I said, well, quite a few years ago. And they said, why don't we do a musky show?
Oh, he's gone.
Now that fish, I'm guessing, was between 42, maybe 43 inches. I'd say 18 to 20 pounds. It was a real nice, healthy fish.
It was a healthy looking fish.
I noticed one thing on your lure. The hooks are kind of small. Like when I look at the hooks that I have on my bait here, like look at, I know that this is a smaller lure, but I think at least one of the hooks should be a real big one. Because to me they have like a gator yap, and if you can get one hook through the top, because this might have, because of the size of their teeth, that might have a harder time getting through.
To the hard bone, yep.
Now we're using these jointed baits, but one of the other baits that works really well, that will go down to about 15 feet, is the Super Shad Wrap, and this is one of the new colors that I'm holding up here. And this one has cadmium hooks, so it's designed for salt water. But even though this lure looks like it has a very shallow running lip compared to this big bladed lip on this musky bait, it'll actually go down to about 15 feet, which is ideal when you're casting like this, 50 feet out, casting towards shore, covering that break that goes from about 5 feet to maybe 18 to 20. And it's working. You know what? I think we got a little bit of daylight left.
And nothing would make me happy is to try and get one more in the boat for us, Italo.
It can happen.
It can happen. We're just getting into the witching hour right now, I think, and hopefully we can get one more.
I threw a venom salty sling worm near a log and let it flutter down. I cast, and there was a small tug, and once I started to reel it in, after setting the hook, I got a surprise. The line was zigzagging from one side to the other of the boat, and I realized that it was a largemouth bass because I saw the flash of the back. My heartbeat increased, and I just got so excited, and so was my son. We carefully measured and weighed the fish. It was then I released it back into the water and watched it swim away. It was just the greatest feeling.
If you're a boater or you're a fisherman and you need to operate a motorized boat, everyone in Canada is going to be required to have a pleasure craft operator card. Now, to get this card, you have to write a test, and the test is very common sense. It just covers a lot of the rules that have to do with boating on the water.
Where you going?
You know what? It's a walleye on a husky jerk. Now, I know people get walleyes trolling with a husky jerk, but normally you don't twitch with them. You have that net, you do have the net handy. Perfect. Look at this. These are really nice walleyes, you know.
That's a big fish.
Yeah.
A little bigger.
I think it's about the size of the one you had caught earlier. And he's got the front hook only stuck in them, which is a good thing.
You want the pliers?
I think I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah, I'm getting it out of the net, and it's nice to have the rubber net so the hooks don't get stuck in it. And you know what? The hook fell out of its mouth. I got one underneath it. There.
That's a nice
Good
fish.
size walleye on the Husky jerk. Now look at the size comparison here. These fish are going after big bait fish, and they're right up on the rocks. So even though that bait might look a little big, it's perfect. Beautiful fish, and bye-bye, Mr. Walleye. So I thought I had missed smallmouth, Rob. I think they must be walleye. I'm going to try casting, and I got a feeling they're right in that pocket, right where the waves are breaking here on this island.
Situated a short 4.5 hours drive north of Toronto, Lake Nipissing is a fisherman's paradise. Stretching 60 miles in length and almost as wide, Lake Nipissing supports a healthy population of walleye, smallmouth, northern pike, and muskie, not to mention lots of jumbo perch and whitefish. In the fall, walleye and bass head to the shallow shorelines and shoals to feed. In October, it's common to catch both bass and muskie in less than 5 feet of water. Lake Nipissing is also well known for its excellent ice fishing. During the winter months, fishermen from across North America travel to the area and enjoy a Canadian winter tradition. The Waltonian Inn and Resort, located on the eastern side of Lake Nipissing, just south of Calendar Bay, is an ideal resort for both families and serious fishermen. The Waltonian offers hotel-style rooms as well as housekeeping cottages.
I don't know what I've got this time.
Smallmouth, yes, sir. Good one. You just take your time with that fish, okay?
I will.
And I saw you switch up to that Vibrex.
Yes, sir.
He's a good size. He looks like about a 2, 2.5. Nice smallmouth. Be nice to see some of his friends swimming around, which is common.
Yeah.
Just take your time. It looks like you've got him hooked pretty good. Good one. Yeah, that's a little better. I'd say he's a 2.
Yeah.
14 to 14.5 inches. And you know what? He wanted your spinner.
Badly.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get the pliers. I feel sorry for people that go fishing and that forget to take their pliers with them, especially if they fish where there's pike or smallmouth. Oh, there's a nice Nipissing smallmouth, very healthy fish. And they just seem to have really come on in the last 10 years. Did you fish for smallmouth before that? Or
No,
just in
I
the
was
last 10 years?
predominantly a walleye
There's your
fisherman.
lure.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. It's a nice smallie. You gonna get him back? Now earlier we were talking about inline spinners, and Rob was telling me that he likes to use this Vibrex. This is a number 3, and this particular one has a really bright bell. Now for those of you that use spinners like for trout or maybe even for pike, they are a very good smallmouth bass lure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it works so good?
I think the reason, for myself, the reason that I like it is because if you notice your blade's a lot smaller than a spinnerbait blade, and you know, it's a lot more subtle in the water. I like throwing it over grass, and I like throwing it around rocks, especially in shallow water, and you can really wind it in very slow, and it's got a nice subtle action to it.
I also like the fact that when a smallmouth wants to grab it, he usually gets hooked with like all 3 hooks. Like that one you just hooked was hooked back quite a ways. We didn't hurt him.
No.
I don't think there was any way he was going to be able to throw that hook. So there it is there. You can see. And also, the reason they claim that these work so well, there's a mechanism inside this bell that when the water goes through it, it actually makes sonic vibration. So that's why they call it a Vibrex. It's a very good lure to have. It's an old lure, but it works well.
The rod started jerking and it like almost hit the water, but my uncle caught it just in the nick of time. It like gave me this huge fight. Well, it was the hardest fish it was to reel in. My hook was down 90 feet deep. When I got it, it was like so nice to land this huge fish. And when we weighed it, it was 2.5 pounds.
Now you look at this beautiful island that we're fishing here, and we're working jigs and spinners alongside it, and you know something's got to be there. Because in the fall, anywhere where you get a shoreline that's fast dropping, I'm going to see if I can lift this guy right in the boat, is a magnet for feeding fish. The reason they're there is because the bait fish usually get pushed up there. There's another walleye, good eating size fish. Just gonna pop it back. Now what we're doing here is not casting really long cast. I'm using this jig and just going very slowly along the shore, and Rob's doing the same thing. So it's more boat control and being on the right spot, which is where we think these fish are holding. And this is where you definitely need an electric trolling motor to control the boat. So we've got a good wind coming off the main lake. And Rob's pretty well casting parallel to the shore, and I'm just working near the bottom, shaking this thing and trying to feel for anything that feels a little different, a tug or a pause on my line.
Canadian Sport Fishing has been brought to you in part by Ford Trucks, built Ford tough. Lucky Strike, producers of quality fishing tackle and landing nets since 1929. Rapala, premium fishing gear, crafted from experience. Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons, volunteers teaching safe boating.